Electrostatic fields. First, we should know what is static field. Static field is a field because of static charges. So static means the charges which are not moving. It is also we can define it as an electric field which is time invariant. And for the timing we will consider it in free space. So time invariant electric field in free space or vacuum. So in the equation you will find epsilon r is equal to 1. So what are the applications in of electrostatic field? So as far as strong electric fields are concerned, like electric power transmission, X-ray machines, lightning protection. So these are the fields where knowledge of electrostatic field is required while designing some instruments related with these fields. In case of solid devices like resistors, capacitors, and also in case of active devices such as BJT or FET, electrostatic field knowledge is required. In some of the applications like touchpads, capacitors, keyboards, CRT, LCDs, electrostatic printers, we use electrostatic field. In medical work also, diagnosis is often carried out with the aid of electrostatic as incorporated in electrocardiograms, electroencephalograms, and other activity of organ including eyes, ears, and stomach. In industry, it is required in spray painting, electrodeposition, electrochemical machining, and separation of fine particles. In agriculture, to sort seeds, direct spraying of plants, to measure the moisture content of crops. These are the application in various fields. As far as electrostatic field is concerned, there are two basic laws. One is a Coulomb's law and second is a Gauss law. Coulomb's law is applicable in finding electric field due to any charge configuration. So as far as point charges are concerned, we use Coulomb's law, and we are all familiar with Coulomb's law. It is possible to solve the same problem using Gauss law also, even if when the charge distribution is symmetrical across the field. That time it is easy to solve the numerical problems using Gauss law. So in Gauss law we consider a Gaussian surface, and using that, if charges are symmetrical, then you can find the electric field. Electric field intensity can be solved using both laws, that is Coulomb's law as well as Gauss law. So first is the Coulomb's law. We have already studied Coulomb's law, and I think all of you have already solved numerical problems based on Coulomb's law, either in physics or in 12th standard. So Coulomb's law states that the force F between 2 point charges Q1 and Q2. So here Coulomb's law is related with point charges. So 2 point charges are there, and these 2 point charges are along the line joining them. So force exists between the 2 point charges Q1 and Q2, that is along the line joining them, and it is directly proportional to the product Q1 and Q2, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So since it is a proportionality is there, we can write using the equation with proportionality constant K. So what is K? K is equal to 4 pi 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0. So as you know, we already assume that epsilon r is equal to 1, that is the field is in vacuum. So we are not writing here epsilon r. Now using this you can solve, you can find electric field intensity also. Electric field intensity E is the force that a unit positive charge experiences when placed in an electric field. So E is equal to F divided by Q. So there are two charges Q1 and Q2 in Coulomb's law. So when I find force by Q, so one of the Q will come on the left hand side. So that will become E. E is equal to F divided by Q, and that is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 R square, where R is the distance from the point charge to the point where we are measuring the field. So Q is the charge located in the field. So that is the distance between charge Q and the point charge. So that is square of the distance R square. So you get the formula Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 R square, and the vector denoted by AR, that is the radial vector. So like that you can find a force which exists because of 2 point charges, and you can find electric field intensity at a point due to another point by using the relation E is equal to F by Q. So we have already defined charges using Coulomb's law. Now if there is a continuous charge distributions, suppose if charges are distributed on the line, or if charges are distributed on the surface, or charges are distributed on the volume, then how to calculate the total charge distributions? So this is called continuous charge distribution. So here we need to define one more term, that is rho L, rho S, or rho V. So don't get confused between rho in case of cylindrical coordinate geometry, that is the cylindrical coordinate system, that is rho we are defined as a radius of that cylinder. Now here we are defining a rho with some suffix, that is rho L, that is line charge density, rho S, that is surface charge density, and rho V, that is volume charge density. Now when you multiply, so first what is the unit of rho L, rho S, and rho V? So rho L, the charge density, so unit is charge per meter, that is coulomb per meter. In case of surface charge density rho S, unit is coulomb per meter square, and in case of volume charge density it is coulomb per meter cube. So when you multiply it by dl, you will get a line charge, that is the total, that is the unit charge on that line. If you multiply it by ds, rho s, if you multiply by ds, you will get dq, that is the small surface charge present on that surface, and rho v dv, that is a small charge on the volume. So like that you can find infinitesimal small charge, that is dq, on line using line charge, surface charge, or volume charge, depend upon how the charge is distributed. So if you once you find dq, it is very easy to find the charge on the line, or charge on the surface, or charge present on the total volume. So you will require to integrate it. So when you integrate dq, you will get the line charge, surface charge, and volume charge. So q is equal to the total charge, that if you integrate on the line with respect to the line, then integrate dq, that is rho L dl, you will get the total charge. If you integrate rho S ds, then you will get a surface charge, and rho V dv, you will get volume charge. Now once you calculate charge, so like in case of Coulomb's law, you can usually find electric field intensity. So the same way here you can find electric field intensity by the same formula, that is Q by F by Q. So here if you find, you will get integration with respect to line charge, that is rho L dl upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. AR is the radial distance from the charge. Electric field intensity in case of surface charge, it is integration with respect to surface, rho S ds upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square AR, and in case of volume charge, it is rho V dv divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 r square with AR, that is the radial distance. So like that you will be able to calculate electric field intensity, uh, surface charge density, and volume charge intensity. So using this parameter, that is rho L, electric line charge density, surface charge density, and volume charge density, we will be able to define dq. And using dq, if you integrate, then you will get a charge q, total charge present on the line, surface, and volume. And using that you can calculate electric field intensity. So here we have derived the equations for electric field intensity at any arbitrary point P, X, Y, Z due to uniform line charge, uniform surface charge, and uniform volume charge, that is a sphere. So here if it is a line charge, then charges are distributed uniformly on the line. So the line is taken, and it is for deriving the equation, we have considered that line is oriented along the z axis, and then P, X, Y, Z arbitrary point is selected. From that point, perpendicular distance from the line is measured, and that distance is nothing but a rho without any suffix. So it is written in the denominator, and rho L is nothing but the surface line charge density. So here, after deriving the equation, we get this equation for electric field intensity, that is rho L 2 pi epsilon 0 rho. AP is nothing but a radial vector. Same in case of surface charge density, surface is considered. So now for deriving the equation, we have considered the surface is along the xy plane, and then perpendicular distance is taken, and after deriving the equation, we will get a general equation without any xyz component. So an is the vector which is perpendicular to the surface where charge is uniformly placed. So we get the final equation: electric field intensity is equal to rho s divided by 2 epsilon 0. Now this equation, that is uniform surface charge density, where you consider that time electric field intensity equation for parallel plate capacitor can also be derived. So here, since there are two plates with magnitude of the charge rho s to epsilon 0, and second plate with minus rho s to epsilon 0, but normal vector is in the opposite direction. So in the first plate it is an, the second place it is minus an. Hence you will get rho s divided by epsilon 0 n. So this is the equation for the electric field intensity in parallel plate capacitor. If you consider a small point charge, then it will become a volume. So any point which is on the volume, which is on the surface of the volume, that point, if you want to measure electrical field intensity, then electrical field intensity at that point you will get is as q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. Remember the equation for the point charge electric field intensity when the point is located at the center. That time also you got the same expression, that E is equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square ar. Ar is the radial distance, and now also you are getting the same expression when you are considering a point or any arbitrary point on the volume. So here the expression you are getting is same, and it is, the reason is Gauss law. In the last slide, we have seen the definition of electric field intensity, and we have derived three equations in terms of line charge density, surface charge density, and volume charge density. In all these three equations, we observed that electric field intensity depends upon the medium in which charge is placed, and also the position where charge is placed in the medium. If we try to calculate flux in using the general equation, and in electrostatic field, the useful flux is very important. So if you want to calculate the useful flux, then the general equation, what is called as integration with respect to surface, A is a vector function dot ds. ds is the surface area. So that equation is using that equation, it is very difficult to get the exact value of useful flux. So general equation is, again I will repeat, flux is equal to circular integration of A dot ds, where A is a vector function. So here we need to define one function instead of A, that is called D. So D is a function of charge and position only, and it is independent of the medium. What is D? D is equal to electric flux density. So flux we generally define as the flux line moving, one line moving from minus one charge, plus 1 coulomb charge to minus 1 coulomb charge. So a line moving from plus 1 coulomb charge to minus 1 coulomb charge is the flux, and there are number of lines which are moving from plus 1 coulomb charge to minus 1 coulomb charge, and we can define D as an electric flux density, that means flux per unit area. So here this function, this parameter we define electric flux density, that you can use to calculate the useful flux. So D is a electric flux density, and it is function of charge and position only, because if you put the value of E in the equation, D is equal to epsilon 0 E, epsilon 0 will get cancelled, and hence it will become independent of the medium, and it will remain the function of charge and position only. So we can calculate electric field intensity with respect to line charge, include surface charge and volume charge, and we find and in all these three equations, epsilon 0, which indicates that it depends on the medium, epsilon 0 will get cancelled and will get electric field intensity. Using this parameter D, we can define Gauss law also. So Gauss law states that the total electric flux phi through any closed surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by that surface. So what is the meaning of that? If there is any body which is having a closed surface, and if charge Q is there inside that body, then total electric flux phi through any closed surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by that surface. So through that surface, electric flux is phi, and total charge enclosed by the surface is phi. So phi is equal to Q enclosed. That is the basic equation. So we can write using this equation, we can say that phi is equal to integration of d phi, where d phi is the small component, and if you integrate it, you will get a total flux, that is phi. We can also write flux is equal to integration, that is the closed integration, if it is a closed surface of, so counter integration of d dot ds. So total charge enclosed is equal to counter integration of d dot ds. It is also, we can also write as Q is equal to, so Q is a total charge, is equal to integration with respect to volume rho v dv. The rho v we have already defined, it is a small charge volume. So by applying the divergence theorem, we have already seen the divergence theorem, that is the relation between surface and volume. So integration, that is the surface integration d dot ds, is equal to counter integration, that is with respect to volume, divergence of d dv. If you compare these two equations, we get rho v is equal to divergence of d. Now this is the first Maxwell's equation. So rho v is equal to divergence of d, that is the first Maxwell's equation, and it states that the volume charge density is the same as the divergence of the electric flux density. So here in this slide we have defined d as a function of charge and position. It is also called as displacement vector, and we have defined Gauss law, and using Gauss law we have derived the equation what is called rho v is equal to divergence of d, and hence it is written as del dot d. So it states that the volume charge density is the same as the divergence of the electric flux density. When it is required to find electric field intensity using Gauss law, first we need to check whether the charge is symmetrical or not. if symmetric charges are there, then if charges are symmetrically distributed, then you can apply Gauss law. Once you decided to apply Gauss law, then you need to construct a mathematical closed surface known as Gaussian surface. The surface is chosen such that D is normal or tangential to the Gaussian surface. When D is normal to the surface, D dot ds, that is equal to d ds, where D is perpendicular to the surface. When D is tangential to the surface, then d dot ds is equal to 0. Thus, we must chosen a surface that has some of the symmetry exhibited by the charge distribution. Now, there may be a point charge, infinite line charge, or infinite sheet of charge. Now, if you want to find electric field intensity due to point charge, then point charge is suppose a point is located at the origin, then to determine D at a point P, it is easy to choose a spherical surface containing P that will satisfy the symmetric condition, and then you can write Q is equal to close integration of D dot ds. So here we'll get dr ds, and as you know, ds in case of spherical surface is 4 pi r square. You will be able to calculate D is equal to Q upon 4 pi r square. Suppose the infinite line charge is there, infinite line of uniform charge. So here we are always considering a uniform charge in case of Gaussian surface. Gaussian law, while applying Gaussian law. Suppose the infinite line of uniform charge rho L, coulomb per meter, that is the line charge, is exist, and if you find the derivation, then let us say it is uh, oriented along the z-axis, and then you can write the equation by considering a cylindrical coordinate system. Rho L L is equal to Q is equal to integration D dot ds. Now here ds is equal to a circular surface area, so you will get 2 pi rho L. So rho is equal to, as we have defined earlier, rho is the radius of that cylinder and L is the length. So you will get the surface area, that is 2 pi rho L, and hence you will get D is equal to rho L divided by 2 pi rho, and AP is along the radius. Now if there is an infinite sheet of charge, and if you want to derive the equation, then you will need to so it is a uniform charge distributed along the sheet, and let us take one infinite plane along the z plane. To determine a point P, which is anywhere in the xyz coordinate, we can choose a Gaussian surface as a box, as a square box, and then if you find a D, you will get the equation using the same D dot ds, that is integration D dot ds. So here you will get ds at top and bottom of the square box, and the side of the box you will get D dot ds is equal to 0. So you will get rho s into A is equal to dz, that is D exists only along the z axis, so dz into A plus A. So everything will get, A will get cancelled, and you will get D is equal to rho s by 2 into Az. So like that, once you get equation for D, you will be able, you can easily calculate expression for electric field intensity. So now one more expression is there that is related with the sphere, that we'll see in the next slide. Now this is the last derivation for application of Gauss law using Gaussian surface. Consider a sphere of radius a with a uniformly charged, that charge is written as rho 0 coulomb per meter cube, and to determine d, that is displacement vector, everywhere we construct a Gaussian surface for two cases. One is r less than or equal to a, and second is r greater than a. So here first is the expression for q enclosed. Q enclosed is equal to integration for this volume. So rho v dv. Rho v is the volume charge density, and dv, as you know, it is a small infinitesimal volume. So it is integrated with respect to volume, and since it is a sphere, so phi is equal to 0 to 2 pi and theta is equal to pi. R is equal to the radius, so r is equal to 0 to r. So here the expression is r square sin theta dr d theta d phi. That is the expression for dv. Now here no need to solve this equation because we know the formula. So this is a sphere and volume is considered here. So you can directly write rho 0 4 by 3 pi r cube, where r is the radius for the cube. Now second is the expression for phi, that is the flux. So surface, so d dot ds is written. So this is the surface area. Dr, that is the radial vector. Again phi is equal to 0 to 2 pi. Theta is equal to 0 to pi. So here surface area is concerned. Now here the expression for surface is r square sin theta d theta d phi. Now here you will not get dr because it is related with surface area. So since it is a surface area, again no need to solve the equation. You can directly write dr 4 pi r square. So q enclosed is equal to phi. Now you can equate this equation. So q enclosed is equal to rho 0 4 by 3 pi r cube is equal to dr 4 pi r square. So whatever is the enclosed charge, that will come out. So you will get d is equal to r by 3 rho 0 ar. Now this is for the case 1, that is when radius is between 0 to a. Now if it is a uniformly charged sphere and r is greater than or equal to a, then q enclosed, again the same equation rho v dv, but now here one difference is there. R is equal to 0 to a instead of r is equal to 0 to r. So a is given, a is the r is greater than equal to a, so it is the radius is more than, so it is outside the sphere. So here you will get rho 0 4 by 3 pi a cube. Now if you equate the equation, you will get d is equal to a cube 3 divided by 3 r square rho 0 ar, where ar is the radial distance. So these are the two equations, one for r less than or equal to a and second for r greater than or equal to a. So the two expressions we derived for two different conditions. In the previous slides, we have derived expression for electric field intensity, and while deriving electric field intensity, we have used one more term, that is d, electric displacement vector. So we have derived a number of equations for electric field intensity for different condition, in case of sphere, in case of line, in case of surface charge. So now we will define electric potential, which is the one more term, and we use this electric potential to derive the expression for electric field intensity. Now while before deriving the expression, we will need the definition for work done. So here work done is written as F dot dl, and F is nothing but a Coulomb's force. So we can write it as minus QE. Now this minus sign indicates that the work done by the external agent, and it is a negative sign. So F is equal to minus QE is substituted, and dl is a displacement. So force is equal to, work is equal to force into displacement. So dot product is written here. Potential energy required in moving the charge. So charge Q is there, which is moving from A to B, and for that purpose work is done. So when work is done, that time there is a potential energy, and this potential energy, as you know, it is calculated by minus Q integration of A to B E dot dl. Now potential energy per unit charge, that is W by Q, is equal to minus integration from A to B E dot dl. If the electric field is due to the point charge, so if it is a point charge, then we consider the sphere. So in sphere, as you know, we write the formula q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. Now integration from RA to RB. So these are the 2 points located. So one is at the distance A, one is a distance RA, and second at distance RB. So these are the 2 radius in the sphere, and hence from RA to RB we write q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. AR is the radial distance, dr AR, that is substituted for dl, that is equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0, and after solving the integration we'll get 1 by RA minus 1 by RB, or VAB is equal to VB minus VA. If VA is equal to 0, so generally when it is a potential difference VAB, so we'll consider that potential at infinite point is equal to 0. So VA is equal to VA will become 0, and hence RA we have written as we are consider a point at infinity, that is VA is equal to 0. Hence RA tends to infinity. So when RA tends to infinity, 1 by RA will become 0. So the potential at point RB, that is when RB tends to R, is due to a point charge q located at the origin, is V is equal to q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r. So here you will get r, because RB tends to R. Vector whose line integral does not depend on the path of integration are called conservative. So here because it is not depending on the path of integration but the last 2 points. In the previous slides, we have seen how to obtain electric field intensity E due to a charge distribution from Coulomb's law or using a Gauss law. Now in both the expression, we have derived expression for D, and using D, we will be able to calculate electric field intensity. Now there is one more method to calculate electric field intensity, and that is using electric potential. Using this way, since we are considering electric scalar potential, that is always we denote by V. So this is easier because the handling scalars is easy compared to handling vectors. Suppose we wish to move a point charge Q from point A to point B. Now in the suppose in the media there are 2 points. One is point A and one second is point B, and if you want to move a charge from A to B, then electric field E is calculated using electric field intensity is calculated using we can first use a Coulomb's law. So here it is written that Coulomb's law is equal to F is equal to Q into E. So force is equal to Q into E is substituted in the expression for dW. dW is the work done. So work done in moving a charge from point A to point B. Now this work done, since is a force into displacement, force is F is written like F is equal to Q into E. So F is substituted by Q into E and dot dl. So dl is a displacement. Now here, since you are carrying a work, potential energy is required. Now this potential energy in moving point Q from A to B is equal to minus Q. So here again I forgot to tell you that minus sign is there. Why this minus sign is there? This minus sign indicates that the work is being done by an external agent. Thus the total work done or the potential energy required is equal to minus Q integration from A to B E dot dl. So here same the previous equation is integrated here. So minus Q A to B E dot dl. The potential energy per unit charge, that is W by Q. So the potential energy, we have already derived the equation for potential energy divided by Q is equal to integration minus E dot dl. So again it is from A to B and E dot dl. So this is electric field. This is the actual potential, and as you know, we always the VAB, that means it is a potential difference. If the electric field E is due to a point charge, now if it's a point charge, then it is we are already considered as a sphere, and we have already derived one equation, that is Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 r square, consider the sphere. So E is equal to So 2 points are given, RA and RB. So RA and RB means is a point at distance RA and point at distance RB. So if you integrate, then you will get integration from RA to RB, Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 R square AR, that is the radial vector, dr AR. So again here dr AR has written for expression for dl. Now Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 is the constant. So it will come out and get after integration 1 upon RA minus 1 upon RB, or VAB is equal to VB minus VA. Now here this is the potential difference. So potential difference means here it is written that if VA is equal to 0. So if VA is equal to 0, that means the potential difference VAB is regarded as the potential at B with respect to reference to A. Now generally when we define VAB, that time we assume that potential at infinity is infinity is 0. Thus if VA is equal to 0, so here one point is so this is VAB. So let us say VA is equal to 0. So it is considered the reference, and RA tends to infinity. The potential at any point when RB tends to R is equal to V is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon 0 R. So one is at infinity. So one of the RA or RB will become 0. So vectors whose line integral does not depend on the path of integration are called conservative. So here it depends upon path of integration. So the vectors whose line integral does not depend on the path of integration. So here hence E is conservative. We have already seen that the potential difference between points A and B is independent of the path taken. Hence we can write VBA is equal to minus VAB. That is VBA plus VAB is equal to 0, and we have already proved that it's a line integration. It's a closed line integration, so it's a closed path. Hence we can write E dot dl. So integration, counter integration along the path L of E dot dl is equal to 0. So using Stokes theorems relate surface area and line integration. So here you can replace E dot dl by curl of E dot ds. Thus now curl of E dot ds is equal to 0 because VBA plus VAB is equal to 0,
and E dot dl, that is integration of E dot dl, is equal to 0. Now using this we can directly write that curl of E is equal to 0.
Now as you know, dV, using a mathematical equation we can write. So this is the calculus of multivariable. We can write E dot dl as d by v by d by x dx, d by v by d by y dy, and d by v by d by z dz. And as you know, del is equal to, it is a vector variable we already defined, I into d by d by x plus j d by d by y plus z d by z. So this is the vector quantity, and if you multiply it by dr, that is I dx plus j dy plus d jk dz, you get this term d by ds plus d by y dy plus d by z dz. Hence you can directly write E is equal to minus gradient of V. So that is del V. And as you know, if you, so here we have already proved that E is equal to minus of gradient V. But you can also you can also prove this equation by the mathematical identity curl of gradient of V is equal to 0. So curl of gradient of V is equal to 0 and curl of E is equal to 0. If you compare these two equations, you can directly write E is equal to minus of gradient of V. Now here minus sign is there. This negative sign shows that the direction of E is opposite to the direction in which V increases. E is directed from higher to lower levels of V. Since the curl of the gradient of a scalar function is always 0, obviously implies that E must be a gradient of some scalar function. Now these are the equation. Now using this why these equations are derived, we have derived the equation for E, that is in terms of V. So V is a scalar quantity. So instead of deriving the electric field intensity from Coulomb's law or Gauss law, here one more term is defined, that's electric scalar potential. And since it is a scalar potential, it is easy to handle scalar potential compared to vector potential. Hence, using E is equal to gradient V, you can directly define or directly find the equation for electric field intensity. The three components of E are not independent of one another. They are explicitly interrelated by the condition curl of E is equal to 0. The potential formulation exploits this feature to maximum advantage, reducing a vector problem to a scalar one. So that is the advantage of defining electric scalar potential V. So one more equation we derived to find electric field intensity, that is without using directly Coulomb's law or Gauss law, that is using this scalar potential V.